Today's guest is Tiffany Gatlin, founder and CEO of Lashed and Hooked Beauty, a line of premium synthetic hair products without all the gross toxins. As we get more, as AI and AR becomes more integrated into our daily lives, because it's been a topic of conversation for years, and we have to some degree used AI in other forms. It just kind of hit a spotlight earlier this year. As this becomes more integrated into our daily life, how do you balance maintaining some sort of human connection with your audience and your customer base while still leveraging the tech?
Well, I think for beauty specifically, the having that human interaction is always going to be important, specifically for Black beauty and hair, because at the end of the day, I think we are so close to the problems that our customers face that it's kind of like you still need human input. Like you still need my input to be able to even say like, so for instance, if you when synthetic hair first hit the market, it wasn't really that believable. It was very plasticky, you know. It looks fake.
Mhm.
And now forward, about I would say this is probably like 10, 15 years later, you are seeing the hair look more and more realistic. And it can rival human hair any day. Like the human hair and the synthetic hair are almost looking the same. And a lot of people are like, well, you know what? I'll just buy the synthetic hair because it's only going to be a short amount of time that I'm going to wear this anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of that is because of the input that humans, Black women are saying like, no, we need this to look more like this. We need it to be more textured. So I think there still needs to be guidance from humans to be able to guide the process. But I think that it's taken a lot of the pressure off of us and also opening up the idea that, or it's just giving us more space to be more creative because it's helping us to think about things that maybe we didn't think about. But also when you have the human interaction, it's kind of merging human interaction with this virtual, creative space that maybe you just didn't think about. And it's like kind of merging those two together. And I think when you have the human interaction and kind of like this additional creative space and you put that together, I think it can create more magic. And I think that's what people don't necessarily think about. I think the two need to go in tandem. Like it's not
Right.
really one replacing it all. It's just that there's this virtual piece that has the ability to kind of think beyond what we're kind of, I don't even want to say capable of thinking, but it just has the ability to just be even more expressive, even wilder, and just kind of, giving us the space of, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. And then taking that and expanding it even more.
Today's guest is Cedric DeCarlo, the style maverick. He's a lifestyle curator, most well known for his catchphrase, I say yes. As we start to integrate all these things, especially AI, what technological trends do you see influencing your industry? Because it is so personal to a degree, but we can't ignore the shift with tech. So how is your brand embracing the changes?
Another great question. You are really getting me with these questions. I will be honest, it has been a little bit challenging for me mentally to accept it. Let me say that right. Because, obviously we all know about the strike that was happening with the actors and everything. And they're just like AI, like they're not going to create some fake character, or whatever, or this artificial character of me when I myself can read the script and do the roles. I think it's the same thing with any business. Now, I'm not speaking negatively about it because, as you said, it is what it is. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's the new thing. I would probably say the new phenomenon, right? So I'm embracing it, still learning about it. I think it does bring a little bit of apprehension for me because now it goes back to what we were just talking about, being authentic, your authentic self, right? Authenticity. Did he really create this, or did she really create this, or would this artificially inseminated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it really his work? Is it really her work? So it has its pros and cons, right? I think it's going to make things a little bit easier, and it's going to lift a little bit of the load or the heaviness of some businesses and brands, even my own, right? But I also still want there to be that true authentic part, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want everything to be AI and I don't, with the robots and everything. But again, we can't get away from it. We can't. We can't. So
No,
you
I
accept
agree.
the parts of it that work for you and your brand, and then still try to be authentic and integrate the two.
Today's guest is Justin Cooper, CEO and producer of JOC Media and Entertainment, a global creative consulting agency specializing in marketing communications and global film and television production solutions. Obviously, the film industry is coming off of a very pivotal time. And what insight can you provide into the real impact of AI in the film industry? And just basic, what does that look like? We read headlines and we speculate, but you are in it. You are there every day. You have weathered the storm, that the big one that passed, and I'm sure there's still some other underlying things happening now. What does that really look like? What is the impact of AI on the film industry?
I think technology in general, AI being encompassed in that, is a disruptor. I mean, we live in an age where within 5 years, I mean, who can say what's going to happen in the next 5 years? But I think technology is something that is here to stay. I think being fearful of it is counterproductive. I think the Writers Guild and the strike that they had, everyone wants more money. People are deserving of money for the talents that they bring to the table. But AI is a real threat. I use AI in some of the marketing work that I do. I use it as a tool that helps me to be more efficient. But I see the fear of, okay, AI may become smart enough to write a script. I don't think that we're there yet, but I think that that day is coming. But I still think that there will always be a human component where you're going to have humans to proofread what AI is going to probably spit out for scripts and stories. So I would venture to say, instead of being fearful of, AI as a technology, perhaps we should embrace a greater understanding of how it could benefit the work that we do as creatives to make our lives more efficient. On the production side, I know there are a few studios here that are embracing virtual production. I represent a lot of international destinations who desire foreign productions, specifically US productions, to come to their locations, whether it be Jordan, Thailand, or Hungary. But you have studios who have spaces where they have like virtual screens that they can just go to the location, shoot the landscapes, and bring that footage and project it onto virtual backdrops where they don't necessarily have to go to a Jordan or Thailand or Hungary to shoot. They can shoot it on the soundstage here in Los Angeles or anywhere in the US as a cost saving. So even on the location, physical production side, there is a fear to that. And I've been in conversations where there has been consideration for these territories, some of them, to say, hey, we can't control what people do. If they want to come and capture B-roll for landscapes, we really can't stop. There's no way to stop that. You may be able to legislate that, but before that can happen, the conversations I've been in is, okay, what if we shoot and then we license this footage out? That way, we don't box ourselves out of any economic development opportunities if they choose not to physically come to our location. They will still have the landscapes that they're going to project on their amazing screens, but we need to be in control, or at least a part of that conversation, to say, hey, you're using our landscapes as a backdrop, but we need to be compensated or credited in some type of way. A great example of a production that uses technology in this way is The Mandalorian. It's well documented that they shot most of that on sound stages, but to the viewer, you can't tell that it wasn't shot in an actual physical location. So I think the disruption is going to happen. I think creatives have a right to speak their opinions and to strike if they feel that they're threatened or they feel that they're not being paid justly for their work. But technology is not going to go anywhere. And I think we all benefit from elevating our knowledge in the particular areas of technology that will disrupt the work that we do, whether it be AI or whether it be virtual production.
Today's guest is Veronica Woodruff, CEO and founder of TravelSyst, a supply chain leader in ground passenger services and an on-demand personal assistant services for air travelers. What's an example of how y'all are using AI in the company?
Yeah, so we use AI to speed up requests. So whether that's information or assistance, if you're a passenger, right, and you're requesting assistance, you don't have to wait. You can be very specific. The way we use AI by personalization, so we're giving the power back to the people to have control of their very own travel experience the minute they hit the airport.
Today's guest is Nisi Armstrong, founder of Supernatural Baby, a premium baby brand offering clothing, feeding necessities, and more, with a core belief that every baby deserves to be wrapped in comfort and style. Welcome to the show, Nisi.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. This is actually my first podcast.
Oh, wow.
I guess as an entrepreneur, like I've done podcasts, but not for this reason. So I'm excited to be a part. Mm-hmm.
I know that the brand is early. Are you all utilizing AI at all for any of your processes? Tell me about that.
I'm kind of working on that. From my LinkedIn post, I met so many people that are helping me with like marketing and stuff like that. But on the smaller scale, funny story, I used AI at first, like Chat GPT, like to kind of like help me with some of my copywriting. And I don't care what anybody says, nothing takes the place of an actual person with an actual mind. Because what I started to see was the stuff that they were giving me, I was seeing them on other competitor sites, and I'm like, okay, we can't all be saying the same thing. So some of the stuff I'm still kind of fine tuning and figuring out how exactly I want to say certain things. Having more descriptions on my site and things like that. So I'm still kind of rolling that out, but I have realized that AI is helpful when it comes to me like doing my photos and stuff and how I want it to look and different things like that and what I wanted to say for like a caption or something like that.
Today's guest is Tammy McQueen, Chief Marketing Officer at BIP Ventures. BIP Ventures is the North American-focused venture capital division of BIP Capital. It is one of the Southeast's largest and most active VC firms. Since 2007, BIP Ventures has invested in the success of B2B software and tech-enabled service businesses at all stages of maturity. In addition to capital, they support entrepreneurs with access to infrastructure, acumen, and talent that results in category-leading companies. How do you guys foster the relationships within the community, and how do you see this progressing as we get more into the age of AI and everything being so hands-off?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up AI because it's a hot topic and it might be the white elephant in so many marketing rooms right now. And I'll say this, that AI is not going to be replacing humans. I will say, though, it will replace marketers or people with AI will be replacing those without AI. So it always comes down to the people, no matter what. And it's so important to really focus on that culture. It's the number one thing in an organization you have complete control over and you can influence. So in a community, I think it's challenging, especially as we've emerged out of several years of lockdown, that being able to emerge and build these communities is so important. So these micro communities is exceptionally important. It doesn't necessarily have to be a massive event that you're attending, but what are some areas where you can gather 2, 3, 10 people over time speaking about one specific topic and let that grow over time? I don't think, we always think it's either this or that or all or nothing, but it's really important to get back to those communities and to start sharing, whether it is just one-on-one to start off with and have someone else come into that circle and build circles that way. Internally, I think the biggest stressor on an organization is growing too quickly and not fostering those community within the organization. So going from 1 to 10 employees to then 50 employees is one thing. But once you get to 100 employees, it is an entirely different organization. And building those sub-communities, not cliques, very clear.
Today's guest is Tia Robinson, CEO and founder of Vertical Activewear. Vertical Activewear is a slow fashion brand for women made on demand in the USA. They are inclusively made in sizes extra small to 5XL, consciously manufactured using eco-friendly fabrics on demand in the US, and mindfully shipped using recycled packaging. So as we're looking ahead and we're all experiencing in every industry such rapid changes when it comes to technology between AI, AR, how do you plan to adapt to how quickly things are changing when it comes to tech integration?
Oh, so tons and tons of stuff that I probably can't mention just yet, but that is actually kind of the next iteration that we are taking things as it relates to vertical, the integration of AI and machine learning. There is so much fascination that I have with that space and things that we could be utilizing as a team as it relates to vertical. So we actually have just recently got accepted to ATDC, which is so ATDC. So, being able to work with Georgia Tech and the Georgia Tech team to be able to develop, strategize, and launch technology that supports our on-demand manufacturing model is literally the next phase that we're moving in. So more stuff to come, but super excited because we definitely feel like there is opportunity for us to be able to do more and to be able to serve our customers more with the integration of AI and machine learning. So we definitely embrace it.
I love that. So you guys are not afraid of it, or?
Not at all. Like literally like, oh, really? Bring it on, right?
Yeah.
Use this. And it's not replacing people in any way, shape, or form. This is allowing us to enhance and to scale and to expand by using the subject matter expertise that we already have in-house. So we just look at it as something to be able to elevate the brand.
Today's guest is Freddie Cameron, Senior Director of Retail Operations for Cookies. Freddie is a retail leader with a robust background in retail and consumer products, with over 20 plus years of experience leading large to mid-sized retail operations with over 10 billion in sales, combined with companies such as Costco Wholesale, Sam's Club, Walmart, and now the cannabis brand Cookies, where he leads global retail operations and oversees over 100 plus stores worldwide. Cookies was founded in 2010 by Billboard charting rapper and entrepreneur Burner and Bay Area breeder and cultivator Jay. It is the most globally recognized cannabis company in the world. They also offer a collection of over 70 proprietary cannabis cultivators and more than 2,000 products. Cookies also actively works to enrich communities disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs through advocacy and social equity initiatives. Now, in retail, customers are constantly seeking unique and immersive experiences. How does Cookies innovate its retail spaces to provide those experiences while driving sales and brand loyalty? Because there's clearly loyalty.
Oh, yeah. The good thing about our CEO, Berner, it really does help just who he is as an individual, just great leader, but he has the music background, so does performances, that helps so he can spread the message about Cookies to our customers. And then also just being a presence really does help. We do really use social media a lot to drive the message about new products, store openings, more technical details, kind of what we're doing. So we really do have a great leader in our company, IT leader, who really looks at the industry as a whole, not just the cannabis side, but just retail. Like, for example, we're looking at sort of how AI can really enhance the customer experience. So, for example, we have this role in dispensaries called a bud tender. So the bud tender is
Bud tender.
Yeah, so they're sort of like your concierge, right? You walk in the store, our guys and girls have like an iPad, so they have all the different items that we sell. They can put your order in. But the more customer data that we can collect, the more we can make recommendations. So there's conversations around like AI being able to make recommendations just based on past preferences, sort of things that you may be interested in buying, and we can automatically make those recommendations to you like as soon as you walk in to a store. So the goal would be using technology to just drive the customer experience to where we like keeping people in our stores a lot longer, but we want them to make the basket size bigger. So by using AI to make very detailed product recommendations, we have a lot of products in our stores. So if AI can make recommendations to customers, preferences, that is a win for us to really just drive the basket size and then providing a better experience to our customers. Because some people walk into a dispensary, let's say it's a new market, somebody that's never been inside of a dispensary. The more information that we can gather from that customer, the second time around, the experience might be a lot better because then there's all those different recommendations that we can provide that particular customer. So that's just some of the things that we're doing to really improve a customer experience is by incorporating AI into sort of the product recommendations for our customers that come in to the stores.
Today's guest is Whitney Osei Akintaju of the Cataline Group. The Cataline Group is a business coaching and consulting firm for tech, e-commerce, and CPG startups. How are you advising your clients when it comes to AI integration?
Ooh, that's a good one because I have several clients that are using AI right now. And with like the ease of ChatGPT, everybody's using AI. And I tell people AI, well, personally for me, I like to use AI to automate a lot of processes, things that don't necessarily require a human touch, right? You can use AI to generate copy for an email, but I am almost willing to bet you if you copy and paste it exactly the way it is from ChatGPT, people will know that it is AI written. So we are not at the point, I tell my clients, we are not at the point with AI where you could just copy and paste. You're still going to have to add that human touch because people know that's not your voice entirely. That's reading that script. And so I tell them, use it for things that don't require a human touch. I know for me, I use AI for when I am trying to get the words out, but I can't quite put them together. I'll list the bullets. Here are the topics that I need to cover. Now help me frame this. And then I'll read it over and add my own personal touch to it. Just the other day, this is so funny. This is not business related, but just the other day, I turned on my laptop and I had this error code. And I had no idea what it was. It was like a whole page. I literally copied that error code and dropped it into ChatGPT. And it was like, you have this issue with your MacBook.
Oh
Here
my
are the
goodness.
steps. Here are the steps that you need to take in order to resolve this. And here's the disk that you need to format. And so you can use AI for things like that. It's not just like answering applications and give me ideas on content. It is really robust. But again, I would use it just for things that don't necessarily require an actual human touch. You can't let AI run your entire company. Your audience still wants to see you and hear from you. That's why they're coming to you. So AI is helpful, but it's not at the point where it can completely take over every single aspect of the business.
Today's guest is Rochelle Porter, founder and creative director of Rochelle Porter Design. Rochelle Porter Design is an eclectic lifestyle brand and design house known for bold colors, patterns, and sustainable practices. Inspired by global traditions, the founder, Rochelle, blends her Caribbean roots with Scandinavian simplicity and West African weaves, creating modern, vibrant designs that prioritize eco-consciousness and community enrichment. In terms of tech, I want to kind of switch to there. There's so many advancements all the time. How does Rochelle Porter Design embrace tech trends like AI, obviously, to enhance the customer experience, but also to keep a personal touch?
This is a good one. So just on a basic everyday level, I've become super dependent on ChatGPT for just content creation. My background is in marketing communications. So I was always used to writing for a client, whether it was creative or in the accounting world, what have you. I always had to adapt my voice to whoever I was speaking to. And we have multiple audiences because we do have the activewear line that's sort of separate from our core home decor line, just different products speaking to different audiences. And it just really helps with writing quickly and putting out content. The technology is not perfect at all, so you still have to go in and tweak things, but that's been a huge time saver for me. Futuristically, there's so much technology we can leverage in our field just because we are so visual. There's virtual reality tours that we can do. We have a wallpaper line that just debuted last year, for example. I would love to be able to show the customer what the wallpaper looks like in their space before they buy the product, or even a pillow or a rug per se. On the activewear side, something that has really caught my attention lately, and I would love to incorporate as quickly as possible as we expand, is, I guess they call it fit technology, just kind of doing body scans to really get an idea of how the clothing would look on you before you purchase it. Because just going back to the sustainability piece, I think there's something like 30% of clothing that's bought online gets returned because of fit purposes. And those don't go back into inventory. Those go into a landfill. Companies often don't just resell those clothes, they get rid of them.
Really?
So I think that would be an amazing way to prevent fabric waste and plastic in the ocean by making sure the clothing fits right the first time.
Today's guest is Erica Ward, CEO and Principal Interior Designer of Erica Ward Interiors, an Atlanta interior design firm specializing in new builds, large-scale renovations, and decorating projects. So this is going to be a two-part question. When it comes to integrating tech into your process, whether that be production, promotion, what have you, how do you still maintain a human touch? And are there any specific tech integrations you guys are looking at when it comes to AI?
Okay. Yeah. So the first touch point a client has is our website, and they're completing just a really short contact form, and they're scheduling for a discovery call. And the discovery call, they're speaking to a human being. So that's your first point of human interaction after you've talked to a computer, via this contact form. And then after that, they either see me in person here in the studio or in their home. So most of the time, if it's ever virtual, it's because there may be an out-of-town client. But even like this morning, I had an out-of-town client. She lives in Oakland, but she came here so we could meet in person. So we use Zoom. I think everybody uses Zoom for the most part, Google Meet. I try to still have a good, human interaction, like person. We have clients coming to the studio for presentations, but we're presenting them digital renderings, right?
Right. Okay.
Alongside tangible samples, we have tile samples, we've got fabric samples that go along with this digital presentation. So it's still, you've got this manual fabric, tile, textile, whatever in your hand, but then you're also looking at, we haven't used AR yet or AI in that sense, but we're doing 3D renderings. And so that's been game changer for us and also for the client, because we have pretty high dollar projects. And for those who can't close their eyes and visualize it like I can, we can illustrate it in a way that they can sign on to whatever it is that we design for them and feel comfortable in doing so.
Gotcha. Now, are there any AI integrations that you foresee incorporating?
I personally am not as up on the latest and greatest with AI as maybe as I should. I'm definitely open, right? So it's not that I haven't engaged because I'm not interested. It's just maybe making the time to see what's out there. And then also for me, because I said finding the time, I also would need to make sure that I can absorb any learning curve that goes along with figuring out how it all works, but I haven't had the clients demand that of us just yet. Because I think that's also important, because if your clients aren't expecting that or demanding that from you, you can kind of skate a little bit with,
Right.
Participating just yet. But unlike social media, I haven't been as early of an adopter to AI as I could.
Today's guest is Sharon Torek, founder and CEO of Torek Law, a national intellectual property and marketing law firm based in Cleveland, Ohio. They specialize in helping creative professionals in the advertising and marketing industries protect, enforce, and monetize their creative assets. As we're sort of knee deep in AI, is there anything you can speak to about how to protect words or images that you generate from some of these, Mid-Journey or ChatGPT? Is there anything you can speak to about, just high level, what that looks like? Is it possible? Does it get more complicated now?
So high level, the position of the Copyright Office, as you and I are speaking, Kelly, March of 2024, is only human created work is entitled to copyright registration and protection under our copyright laws. So it really depends upon the extent to which you can separate the AI generated content from the human created content. Because the truth is, most content that's seeing the light of days these days on behalf of a company is a bit of both, right? It's not, nobody's spitting something out of an AI platform and just saying, here, run with it. It's a hybrid. And so there's precedent for the fact that if you can segregate, the best example is a graphic novel where the illustrations were created by Mid-Journey, but the words are human authored and the arrangement of the illustrations was human created. And so the Copyright Office sort of ultimately took a divided approach where you could protect the human provided elements and not the the machine generated stuff. And so it's really a question of how much human interface with the content happened before it sees the light of day. And so I think to be safe, you have to assume that if you've used AI to generate content, it's going to be tricky to protect it over time. And so if owning the IP rights in that is something that's important to you, you need to think really hard about how much you integrate AI created work into the final asset.
How do you and your team stay up to date on new and emerging things, maybe ahead of your clients coming to you, so you can be ready, because they're going to come to you with questions and say, well, how do I protect this? If you guys aren't keeping up with that, you're probably like, what is that? How do you guys stay up to speed on emerging trends in the content space to be able to service from a legal perspective?
So part of it is doing our best to monitor what the Copyright Office itself is doing. That's an administrative body. It's not a court of law, but they are the deciders really of what will go past their gates in terms of being able to register a copyright. Other than that, we are doing our level best to keep up on all the case law that is. These proceedings are just starting, so we don't have any precedents yet. There are lawsuits pending right now from famous creators versus OpenAI, which, was the creator of ChatGPT. And we don't know how they're going to develop or come out. So far, what we're seeing is some licensing deals that are being entered into between content creators like the Associated Press and OpenAI, so that there's a license arrangement between them. But then we've got New York Times suing OpenAI, and they clearly negotiated for a long time before that happened and were not able to get to terms. So my theory is New York Times is either going to push it to the wall to see what the courts say about owning copyright protected work and having it being fed into something like ChatGPT, or they'll enter into some sort of license agreement after a certain part of time. But we just have to follow it as best we can, set alerts, treat it like the news event that it is. And I think the hardest thing for creatives to understand, no matter what kind of business they own or run, is that legally, we're not really treating generative AI like you treat any other implement you would use to create content. It's not like using a camera or a piece of software, because I get that question a lot. Why is this any different than any other tool we use to create content? And I don't have a good answer for that, except for that these machines are getting so smart and their data sets are growing so quickly that they're just not being treated on a level that any other tech tools we've ever used for content creation. So we just, the law always sweeps up behind. Technology runs in front. We business people put our sneakers on and run as fast as we can to chase it. And then, we lawyers with our push brooms kind of, clean up the mess. And that's never going to change no matter how quickly the technology develops, unfortunately. You just have to kind of stay nimble about it and have human guardrails in your businesses about which platforms are acceptable to use, which are the use cases that you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable using it just for research? Are you comfortable using it for first drafts or outlines? Who has to approve it before it goes out? Look at your policies, have crucial conversations with your clients around this to make sure you're all aligned on your policies around using generative AI. And for now, that's really the best you can do from a legal due diligence perspective.
Today's guest is Nick Love, product manager at 1RPM, a global music distribution company empowering artists and labels with innovative tools and services for digital music distribution, rights management, and more. What role or impact is AI having in your specific position, if at all?
Oh man, so AI is in its infancy in my particular role, but it is growing and I see the future of it. I know exactly what it can, and I know the limitations or what I think the limitations of it will be, but it's an extremely helpful tool that I'm excited about because I feel like it'll streamline a few more tedious tasks from the design aspect for sure. I'm starting to see that pop up more, right? When it comes to designing just social media posts, flyers, banners, any signage that we may need. But what I found over the holidays was, I was out of work for maybe 3 weeks to a month. We closed down for the holidays and we came back like right after Martin Luther King holiday. And during that time, I was so creative and I'm like, had all these ideas and I'm thinking like, damn, but I can't draw. I don't know how to do any of these things. And I remember my daughter saying, "Oh, Dad, just type that idea into Chat GPT or type it into this thing." And I'm like, I did it. And I'm like, uh-oh, that ain't good. So I was like, not just for me, but just in graphic designers, y'all should be worried. Because if I can figure out how to not need you, you got a problem. And from, like I said, from a marketing standpoint, for what I do when it comes to writing pitches, I have to pitch records to Spotify, pitch it to Apple Music for playlisting, writing pitches. That is something that I can put into the Chat GPT now and have them write the pitch for me. And I can send that off. That frees up so much time for me. And I don't rely on it because I'm actually a good writer in general. But it is a tool
Speeds it up.
Oh my God.
Speeds it up.
So AI is at the very least a helpmate. At best case, maybe worst case, depending on how you look at it, it could be a replacement for a few people. And I don't know if you've noticed or you're even aware, but the music business just underwent a massive, massive layoff run, like literally about 3-4 weeks ago, where a few of the big labels like completely like got rid of their radio departments, all of that. Because again, ROI, right? If no one's listening to the radio, why do we need this massive radio department to push our songs that way?
Right.
So when they can decide, okay, cool, this is how we're going to now digitally push records to radio, so we don't need the people. This is how we're going to digitally push these records to these streaming platforms, to YouTube. I mean, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be a survival of the fittest type of situation. But I'm honestly excited because what I've also noticed is that the solutions a lot of times are steeped in what we kind of grew up doing, right? So many of the young people that I work with, it's so funny. They'll hit a wall on a problem and I'm like, oh, well, the answer is the thing that we used to do when we used to ship CDs or when we used to ship vinyl, but you guys weren't around for that. So y'all don't remember when we had to do this physically. You guys only know the digital way. So when the digital way doesn't work, you're stuck. So it's people like us that are in this kind of sweet spot of an age group that was old enough to remember the old way, young enough to adapt to the new way. I think we'll be okay.